For tonight's video, we're talking about quadratic equations. So up to this point, you know how to factor quadratics, but what you don't know how to do is solve the equation. So the only difference here is we're adding an equals 0 onto what we've been dealing with, and I'm asking you to solve it by factoring in this situation. So first, we just need to take note of what the factors of this are and what we're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for numbers that multiply together to give me a positive 6, but add together to give me a negative 5. So using the chart method earlier, I found that x minus 3 and x minus 2 are my two factors.
If you are parked in spot 197, please move your car at this time so the band can practice. If you are parked in spot 197, please move your car. Thank you.
So obviously I was interrupted by an announcement, but let's get back to this. These are the factors of this. We were finding this all day yesterday, so now we're looking at these. These are my factors. So let's set each single one of these equal to 0. So I have x minus 3 is equal to 0, and I have x minus 2 equal to 0. So simply just subtract or add over. In this case, we're adding 3 to both sides, and in this case, we're adding 2 to both sides to get my x equal to a number. In this case, x equals 3. In this case, x equals 2. So both of my solutions here are just x equals 3 or x equals 2. And what this means, these two numbers are my roots of this equation, because when I plug in 3 here, here, or in either of these x's, I'm going to get 0. And if I plug in 2 here, here, or here, I'm getting 0 of this equation, which is what this is asking me. When does this equation equal 0? Okay? So let's move on to a different solving by factoring. In this equation, we're solving by factoring, but the way we're going to factor is different. So my equation in this case is just 6x plus 4x equals 0. And I'm trying to find where this equation equals 0. So let's look at this first. I find that I have 2, which is common to both of these, as well as an x term in both of these. So when I pull that out from each term, I get 2x times 3x, which would just give me 6x. And then 2x times 2, which multiplied together gives me 4x. So I found the common term 2x in both of these. Now I can pull it all the way back out front, and that gives me 3x plus 2. Now, I need to use these equations to solve for 0. So in this case, I have 2x is equal to 0, or 3x plus 2 is equal to 0. So in this case, if I divide 2 into everything here, my x still remains to be 0. But if I plug in over here, I subtract my 2 on both sides. That just gives me 3x equals negative 2. Then I can divide the 3 over, cancels these 3's out, which gives me x is equal to negative 2/3. What this is saying is that if I plug in x equal to 0 into this equation, I'm going to get out 0, which is clear to see because 0 squared is 0, times 6 is still 0, and then plus 4 times 0, that's still 0, so my equation is equal to 0. That's what we're looking for today. We're finding the roots of these equations. So this is called a root, and this is called a root, and that's just where my equations are equal to 0. Today we're going to spend time in class talking about how to use the graphing calculator for tables of values that will help us find these roots, as well as using the actual graph and seeing where x is equal or y is equal to 0, which is what our root is. Okay, I'll see you guys in class.